Wondering why my Mule Martingale doesn't use some sort of noseband if nose is so important. So why doesn't the Mule Rider's Martingale use a noseband? Because the nose is so important.
Okay, so the way I start my foundational training is, number one, I start from the nose by using the come-along rope, and then from the come-along rope to the rope halter adjusted. Those two right there work the nose, work the pole, work the neck, and this sort of thing. Those two there starts building a foundation. Now, once I've done that, and they're starting to nose on the vertical, head down, balanced and framed up, then I go from there to my snaffle bit, and I start building a foundation. Now, mules care more about their nose than they do their mouth. So that's one of the reasons I developed the Mule Rider's Martingale. You do not want to use a bit that has a combination of nose communication and bit and curb chain. That's called a gag bit. When you have a combination of the noseband and the bit, they get pretty irritated about that because they really care about their nose. So that's why I developed the halter the way I do and using the come-along hitch. I do that first before I do my bitting. Then once the nose is there, I leave the nose alone. I'm done, okay? Except for, let me go on. As your mule progresses, and he's really doing awesome, riding 80% off your legs, I will put a good quality mechanical hackamore, and I know where you can buy one of those. I'll put a good quality hackamore on there, and I'll ride them with a hackamore. But I have to ride, folks. I have to ride 80% off my legs. And if you ride two-handed, you're going to make that mule pretty irritated because of the constant pressure of the two hands. The mechanical hackamore is to kind of give their mouth a break. So when I go from the Mule Rider's Martingale, then I go on over to more refined, and that is my trail rider bit. And here's what I do. In 3 months, training 4 to 6 hours a week, and that's all of actual training, I should be able to, in 3 months, go from direct reining, two hands, to one hand with my Mule Rider's Martingale. And if I can start doing that, I can start weaning my mule off of the Mule Rider's Martingale and start weaning into the trail rider bit. And at the end of 3 months of trail rider bit, Mule Rider's Martingale, trail rider bit, I wean right off of the Martingale and right into the trail rider bit. So then I use a combination of trail rider bit and sometimes mechanical hackamore. And then if I ever have to fix a problem or refresh their memory a little bit, back to the Mule Rider's Martingale.
So I think I caught the whole of it. I just want to go back because I'm wanting to make sure I understand. So the question originally is, why don't we have the nose, anything talking to the nose on the Mule Rider's Martingale? And what I think I heard you saying was, in my words back to you, we train with the nose, we teach straightness with the nose, and once they learn straightness, once they learn to only do what you allow them to do, then you can give the nose a break, and then you can move on to teaching the mouth. And then as they progress in teaching the mouth, and as the rider learns to ride off the legs, 80% the legs, and then can ride one-handed, then you progress through the bits. So the idea here, if I'm understanding correctly, it's to move them into training and allow their training to work as you progress away from the nose and away from bits that are a little bit more demanding and into a hackamore or a mechanical hackamore that gives their mouths a break. Am I understanding that progression correctly?
Well, yeah, in general, you're correct. Okay. I only want to use the snaffle bit long enough to be able to build a good foundation of nose on the vertical and balanced and framed up.
Okay.
When you use a combination of nose piece and mouth and curb chain, that's called a gag bit. And you do not want to use those three. That will really irritate the mule because it's a lot of information of nose, mouth, chin. So that's why I don't use that.
Okay.
I go in that progression, come along hitch,
rope halter,
Mule Riders Martingale, and then my ultimate goal in 6 months is to be riding in my finished bit, my trail rider bit. Now, with Rip, he's a working cowboy, so he'll be out there all day long with that Martingale. And yes, you can do some correction, some training, but it's not the training place as you would do in a round pen. But he's out there all day, which is awesome. And eventually he'll be riding a finished bit. But you never ever, folks, don't do that to your mule. That combination of nose, mouth, and chin, a gag bit, you're going to have a hard mouth, uncooperative mule by the time you do that. So come along hitch, rope halter, Mule Riders Martingale, finished bit, and we're pretty much done. Will you have to tune up once in a while? Yes. You know, even my wife's good old 28-year-old mule, even my other good mules, you know, I always put the surcingle on them, I put the rope halter on them, and I turn them loose in a round pen. Once that surcingle works and they're getting their head on the vertical and they're listening to that rope halter, I then put a combination of the rope halter and the Mule Riders Martingale, and the combination of those two, and they start framing up. I take off the halter, I go to the Mule Riders Martingale, and then after the Mule Riders Martingale, I go in the finished bit. Everything in that surcingle. The great thing about the surcingle, Dave, is nobody's in the saddle, and that makes the bit work. I just talked to Chuck Smith, okay, and he says, man, Steve, he says, my mule's always been chargy, always been hard on the bit and this sort of thing. I put that Mule Riders Martingale on there, and just for a short time, anytime I smooched at her, she would just hit that bit and take off. Now she's in the round pen, I smooch at her, she picks it up nice and quiet, and she doesn't charge that bit. And that's the whole thing. You don't want to have one thing go right and do 5 other things wrong. So we're going in the right direction.
That's good. That's a great explanation. We are going to cut that piece right here out of this video. We're going to throw it up on YouTube. We're going to throw it on the muleranch.com website, and we're going to let people keep the learning going.